Hi guys, welcome back to Beautifully Bookish Bethany, where I have new videos every week about books and the geeky mom lifestyle. Subscribe for more bookish videos and don't forget to hit that notification bell if you want to be notified every time I release a new video. In today's video, I have the Social Distance Book Fest tag for you, and I'm very excited about it. If you didn't see my previous announcement video, I will link it up above, but I am spearheading the organization of the Social Distance Book Fest, which I'm super excited for. There is an entire team of incredible, hardworking people who have been putting this thing together for you guys, and the author lineup is just like mind-blowing, as is the response. Thank you so much to everybody who's involved. And so we thought it would be fun to get the community involved in this by putting together a book tag that you guys can do and share. If you want to attend the book festival, it doesn't cost anything. You don't have to register. You can check out the website down below. It's all going to be taking place on April 25th, starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and going all the way up until 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have 17 panels across ages, across genres, with an amazing lineup of authors. We have a booktube panel. There's also going to be giveaways, opportunities to get signed book plates and special goodies when you pre-order some of the featured authors' books from indie bookstores. There is going to be virtual meetups around different fandom things like manga, and just a lot going on, and I'm so excited for this event to take place and to have you guys join us. It will all be free and available, live streaming to the YouTube pages of the hosts, so check out the website down below or any of our social media for more information. On to the book tag. We have 12 prompts for this tag, and they are inspired by the names of some of our panels. Like I said, we do have 17 different panels, which is a little too much to do for a book tag, so I narrowed it down a bit, but this will give you a taste of what you will be getting in terms of topics that we'll be covering during the book fest, and give you an opportunity to recommend some great books to people. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive into the tag. Prompt number 1 is for our panel on world building in speculative fiction and historical suspense. Share a book that has great world building. Of course, I had to go with one of my personal all-time favorites that I think has incredible world building, and this is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. This is like a tome. It's an epic. Maybe one day we'll get book 3, and that would be wonderful. I really love this. I think the world building in here is amazing. He does such a good job of going into depth in all of the little details, including like economics and the different money systems that people would have and differences in political systems and cultures. I just really love it. Patrick Rothfuss does incredible world building. The second prompt is for our panel on tackling consent, gender, and toxic masculinity in the romance genre. Personally, I'm super excited for this panel, and the prompt here is share a book that includes enthusiastic consent. And for this, I'm going to share a novella that I read recently that I think does a good job of this. It is The Governess Affair by Courtney Mulan. I really like Courtney Mulan. She writes kind of feminist historical romances, and this is a prequel novella to her brother's Sinister series. It's about a governess who had basically been sexually assaulted and impregnated by her former employer, and then was let go from her job, and she's determined to make him pay. But the Wolf of Claremont, who's supposed to deal with her and make her go away, ends up being kind of drawn in by her story, and a really sweet romance develops. And the reason that I included this here is there's this really wonderful scene between the two of them that very sweetly puts female consent at the forefront. And I won't spoil it for you, but it's just really beautiful. And especially with it being a survivor of sexual trauma, offering this opportunity for her to take back control of her sexuality and her sexual experience with full consent. It's just one of the best scenes that I've ever read, and I really love it, so I'm going to recommend that one. The third prompt is based on another panel, so you want to start a Booktube channel. The prompt for this is offer one piece of advice to aspiring booktubers. And I would say my advice is just go for it. Don't worry about whether you're comfortable or not comfortable on camera, whether you know how to edit. everybody's first videos, almost everybody's first videos are kind of terrible, and the best way to learn is just to dive in and learn as you go and have a good time, make friends who are also new to the community. I think it's so worth doing, but just jump in. You'll learn as you go. The next prompt is for another panel I'm super excited about, and I'm currently set to be hosting this one, which should be really cool. I'm really excited for the lineup on this one. The panel title is From Boys in Outer Space to Magical Girls and Guillotines, Queer Voices in Science Fiction and Fantasy. Super excited for this panel, and the prompt is share a favorite sci-fi or fantasy book that has queer representation. And so I'm going to be sharing one of my favorite books from last year. This is kind of a controversial one. People like it or don't, but I was a huge fan. This is Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. This was kind of pitched as lesbian necromancers in space. It is own voices for the lesbian representation, but honestly, there's not a lot of like romance in here per se. It's more of like a dark sci-fi fantasy blend with a closed circle murder mystery thrown in, and this very funny, irreverent hero, Gideon, and I love her so much. So yeah, this is a good one. There's lots of great ones though. I feel like queer sci-fi fantasy is having a moment right now, and so that's part of why I'm really excited for this panel, because I think there's some pretty cool and exciting things happening in that world. On kind of a similar note, prompt number 5 is for our horror panel. This is called Beyond Stephen King, New Frontiers in Horror. The prompt is share a creepy book written by a woman, a person of color, or someone from the LGBTQIA+ community. And my pick for this is another all-time favorite horror novel of mine. This is Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand. I absolutely love this, and I think it's super creepy. It's another one that's kind of a genre blend. It's got some like fantastical or fantasy elements to it, but it's real creepy. I think I've pitched it as like Stranger Things meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer, except super feminist, very scary, and very queer, and that's definitely what this is. So this is a YA horror novel written by a female author. It's also own voices for bisexual representation, and it's just so good. It's about these girls on Sawkill Rock, this island where something has been kidnapping and eating girls, and it's very dark and scary, and it's great, and I really loved it a lot, and now this makes me want to like read it again. But yeah, I love Claire Legrand as an author in general, and this is definitely a favorite book for me. Number 5 is Fierce Femmes, Standing Your Ground. Share a book with a fierce female protagonist. And for this, I'm going to share another favorite, because we're just going to share all my favorite books right now. This is Forest of a Thousand Lanterns by Julie C. Dow. I love this so much. Shifeng, who is the protagonist in this, is definitely a fierce female. She's a total Slytherin. She's like the Slytherin queen of my heart. This is an amazing retelling of Snow White, but set in an ancient magical China, and it's the backstory of the evil queen. And I love it so much. Talk about fierce females who stand their ground. Shifeng is for sure that. And I'm very excited for this panel as well. I think it's going to be pretty cool. Number 7. Navigating Latinx Identity in Fantasy. I'm going to share a book from one of the people that we have on this panel, who I love. The prompt is share a fantasy book with Latinx representation, and I'm going to share Shadow Shaper by Daniel Jose Older, who is on the panel, and he's freaking awesome. I love this series. I still need to read the 3rd book, which is the one they're going to be sharing, I think, in the panel, but this is set in Brooklyn. It's an urban fantasy with an Afro-Latinx heroine at the center of it, and it uses magic that involves art and community, and it's just really, really good and so smart and so relevant and deals with big issues, and it's a really great YA series, and I love it, so you should go out and read it. So yeah, this is my pick, and he's gonna be on the panel, which is pretty freaking awesome. Number 8. Family, Friendship, and Determination in Middle Grade Fiction. Share a middle grade book with a great family or friend group. And for this, I'm actually going with a graphic novel. This is The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill. This is like one of the most adorable stories ever, and it has wonderful families and friend groups, and they're diverse, and they take care of these really cute little tea dragons that like grow tea leaves off the top of their heads, and it's just such a like soft, joyful book, and I love it a whole lot. And so I think this is a great example of middle grade fiction with good families, good friend groups. It's got both of them. Number 9, new voices in YA panels. We have 2 of these. We have one for science fiction and fantasy and one for contemporary fiction. And for this, the prompt is share an upcoming release that you can't wait to get your hands on. So I do have my hands on this, but I haven't read it yet. And it's an upcoming release from one of the authors that we're featuring on our New Voices in YA SFF panel. And I've heard nothing but good things about this. This is Cemetary Boys by Aidan Thomas. I am super excited about this. It is own voices for the trans Latinx representation, and it's supposed to be really, really great. It's about a trans boy who wants to be a brujo, but his family doesn't want him to perform the rituals, and so I think he does it on his own, and this ghost comes back, and there's like a queer love story in it, and yeah, I don't know. I've heard such great things. We're very, very excited to have Aidan Thomas as one of our panelists. So number 10 is From Sherlock Holmes to Veronica Mars, variations in the mystery thriller genre. And for this, the prompt is share a favorite mystery or thriller. And for this, I'm sharing another favorite that is another kind of controversial one. I feel like often my favorite books are ones that people love or hate, and this is no exception. But I loved it. This is The 10th Girl by Sarah Ferenc. It is a YA, like older YA, because it's a pretty intense one, set in 1970s Argentina and Patagonia at a remote girls' boarding school where super creepy things are happening, and it's got lots of trigger warnings for it, but I loved it. It was so good. Totally up my alley. I loved the commentary on some spoilery things that I can't talk about in here, but I'm definitely a fan, and I'm really excited to read more from Sarah Ferenc as well. This is another one that is own voices for Latinx Argentinian representation. So yeah. Number 11 is Identity Formation and Deconstruction in Adult Fiction. And the prompt is share a book that deals with identity in a positive or negative way. And one of the books that came to mind for me, another favorite of mine personally, that I think does an interesting job of exploring identity, of how our identity is formed, whether it's through trauma or through our own choices, and in this case I would say a combination of the two, is Circe by Madeline Miller. This is based on the Greek mythology about Circe, but it's very much its own thing, and it's a super introspective, slow-paced, character-driven story that follows Circe, and I loved it. This is an all-time favorite for me. I connected with it really deeply for a lot of reasons, but I love how it considers the way that trauma and family and experience somewhat shape who Circe is, but also how her own choices and the ways that she pushes back against things also form her identity. And so I think this is a really interesting study on character and identity formation and deconstruction, which are all things we're going to be talking about in that panel. And the final prompt is Social Distance Book Fest. Share a bright spot from the past few weeks. A book you read, a moment of self-care, something that made you laugh. This can be kind of whatever you want it to be, something that was a bright spot. And for me, I thought I would share something kind of funny that happened with my kids that I ended up sharing as a Twitter feed, which I don't think that many people even saw, but I'm gonna post it here and read it to you. It was just like one of those mornings that I just made me laugh, and made me laugh at having small children. Okay, so I'm just gonna read the tweets and I'll post them here as well. My 6-year-old ran crying into my room this morning. Mom, my little brother, Jojo, touched my bike with sparkles. He got sparkles on my bike. And he was like distraught about this. So I calmly told him to go get a baby wipe and clean it up. All of this because that day I decided to have some fun with glitter eyeshadow, and my 3-year-old really wanted to join in the fun, so I said, okay, sure. So I put a little bit of the glitter eyeshadow on his cheek and on his hand, which he was really into. My younger son said, "That's cool, Mom." And my older son said, "I do not like sparkles. Ninjas don't wear sparkles." Okay, you do not have to have sparkles. Then they proceeded to have a glitter war where the little one would touch things with his evil glittery hand, and the older one would defeat the sparkle with a baby wipe. And so this is a direct quote from my almost 6-year-old, along with a very funny picture. "My baby wipes can defeat you." And so he was like throwing baby wipes and like, "Nah, ha, ha, I got sparkles." And it was just really entertaining and funny. And I was like, yeah, this is like mom life at home with boys, guys. Like, this is it. And it was entertaining and a light moment that, you know, gave me a good laugh. So there you go. Hopefully that gave you a taste of some of what you're in for with our panels. We are so excited and so thrilled at the way everything is coming together and the authors who are participating and the giveaways that are happening. It's just really incredible. I hope you guys will join us and check out some of the panels and support indie bookstores, support these authors who've had events canceled by ordering and pre-ordering their books, and you just might get some cool goodies along with it if you do. So talk to me in the comments down below, and for your question of the day, let me know, are you going to be hanging out with us on April 25th for the Social Distance Book Fest, and what are you most excited for? Who are you excited to see? What are some panels you're looking forward to? Let me know in the comments down below. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.